Hello and welcome to the Daily Aus. I'm Emma.
I'm Zara.
From Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni to Jay-Z, Diddy and Prince Harry, celebrity lawsuits have dominated the headlines in recent months. Another high-profile case is back in the spotlight though this week after Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime performance. Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, is the subject of a defamation lawsuit filed by Drake last month. Today, we'll take you through everything you need to know about this long-running Drake-Kendrick feud and the latest developments on this lawsuit.
This is one of those stories that we have received a lot of messages about, asking us to break it down, explain it, especially as you said, in light of the Super Bowl where everyone was talking about this Kendrick Lamar-Drake feud and subsequent lawsuit. For anyone that might not be up to date, and for all those people that have slid into our DMs, Where does this story begin?
So it's been nearly a year since this feud or this story really started gaining global attention. In case you missed it, American rapper Kendrick Lamar, Canadian rapper Drake, real name Aubrey Graham, were engaged in this serious fight last year that took the form of diss tracks. So they began.
What's a diss track?
A diss track is part of hip-hop lore of generations gone by where artists will have feuds, maybe about where they're from, the kind of music that they're making, and they express those feuds in the form of song. Mm-hmm. So Drake and Kendrick began exchanging insults through a series of these diss tracks, and that soon escalated to personal attacks. Mm-hmm. It moved really quickly, so you could be forgiven at the time for not quite keeping up with all these tracks.
That's me.
There were multiple songs being released, honestly, days apart, and that kind of all came to a head in May. So Kendrick dropped back-to-back tracks aimed at Drake. Drake released a song called Family Matters, where he alleged that Kendrick Lamar physically abused his partner. So the lyric in question is, "They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen," he rapped. Worth flagging here that there haven't been any other similar allegations against Kendrick made in public, just in Drake's songs. And within minutes, Lamar released the song Meet the Grahams, where he accused Drake of employing sex offenders. The lyrics compared Drake to former film producer and convicted rapist Harvey Weinstein and urged people to, quote, keep their family away from him. The day after Kendrick released Meet the Grahams, he dropped Not Like Us. Now, this is the song in question. This song is the subject of a defamation lawsuit filed by Drake last month.
Okay, so they've obviously exchanged strong words on a number of occasions through a number of diss tracks, but why is Not Like Us, the song that you said is the subject of this defamation suit, why is that song any different to anything else that's happened?
Yeah, so you could argue there are two reasons for the focus being on this song. And the first is its lyrics, and the second is its popularity. We'll start with the lyrics, which Drake claims include false allegations that he's a pedophile. So some of the lyrics include, Drake, I hear you like him young, make sure you hide your little sister from him, trying to strike a chord and it's probably a minor, certified lover boy, certified pedophile. That's a lyric in reference to Drake's 2021 album. And then the popularity of this song is relevant to the legal action that we'll get to shortly.
Because that song blew up.
It absolutely blew up. It skyrocketed to the top of the charts. It became Spotify's most streamed American hip hop song in a single day.
Wow.
And at the time of recording, Not Like Us is well on its way to 1.1 billion streams on Spotify. To put that into perspective, Kendrick is, a long time popular figure in rap music. He has 22 Grammys to his name. He is a Pulitzer Prize winning artist. He's been releasing music for well over a decade, but in less than a year, Not Like Us has become one of his most streamed songs. And in terms of its critical success, the track won all 5 categories it was nominated in at the recent Grammy Awards, including Song of the Year.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
And so that song was released in May, but the lawsuit didn't emerge until January of the following year. What happened in between then?
Hello, Billy here from TDA. We have just looked at our YouTube analytics and 95% of you who are watching our videos aren't subscribing. If you want to help independent media like us grow, the best way you can do that is by pressing subscribe. Thank you so much and back to the video.
So in the months between the release of Not Like Us and this lawsuit, the feud didn't go away. There was plenty happening. A security guard was shot outside Drake's home in Toronto. There were also several attempted break-ins and trespassing incidents at that house last year. And in November, Drake filed but then withdrew a legal claim against Universal Music Group. Both he and Kendrick have deals with UMG to publish their music. And that claim accused Universal of using bots to inflate the streaming numbers of Not Like Us.
Interesting.
The label denied those allegations and that action was dropped.
And so that brings us to this year when Drake filed defamation action. And what do we need to know about this lawsuit?
So Kendrick wrote and produced the song, but he is not the one being sued. As with that previous petition, Drake is actually suing Universal. So the Canadian rapper is alleging that the song Not Like Us suggests he is a pedophile, which he denies, and UMG's publicity of the song is defamatory. Specifically, Drake alleges that the song was, quote, intended to convey the specific, unmistakable and false actual allegation that he is a criminal pedophile and to suggest that the public should resort to vigilante justice in response. Now, Kendrick and Drake have a deal with Universal that means it publishes and promotes their music in exchange for a percentage of streaming and sales revenue. So Drake alleges that Universal publicized Not Like Us as much as possible for profit, to profit off those big streaming numbers. Legal documents say this lawsuit is not about the artist who created the song. It's instead entirely about Universal Music Group, which decided to, quote, publish, promote, exploit and monetize allegations that it understood were not only false, but dangerous. Drake alleges UMG worked to make the song ubiquitous so that it's not just fans of rap who now believe he is a, quote, certified pedophile, but also that the broader kind of community, that broader pop culture, the news cycle, audiences around the world
And we're talking
think
about
that.
it.
We're talking about it. And Drake has also alleged that Universal organised for Kendrick Lamar to perform the song at this week's Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big talking point here, that all eyes were on Kendrick Lamar as he performed at the halftime show. We were all watching in the office trying to figure out if he was going to perform this, if he was going to be allowed to perform it. He ultimately did perform the song. Talk me through what happened.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Zara, there was a lot of speculation. Will he, won't he? Are we going to hear this song? Kendrick did give us a little teaser early in the performance, and he said this.
I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love to sue.
What song?
Yeah, that song.
That song?
Maybe I think about it.
Oh no.
Fans were then in overdrive, wondering what that meant, but he did eventually give them what they wanted and performed part of the track, including some of the controversial lyrics, but he stopped short of using the word pedophile.
Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. Waka got a weird case, why I see around certified lover boy, certified. Wop, 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 wop. I'm on them tough, trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor.
I'm curious to hear what Universal has said about this. I mean, in the lawsuit that you just read out, Drake is very clearly calling out their role, or at least what he alleges to be their role in all of this. What has their response been?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because as we've discussed, you know, this is a music label that publishes for both artists in question.
So tricky.
So tricky and unlike anything I've really seen in the public eye. UMG said that it plans to fight the lawsuit. It says, quote, Drake has intentionally and successfully used Universal to engage in conventionally outrageous back and forth rap battles to express his feelings about other artists. It said he now seeks to weaponize the legal process to silence an artist's creative expression and to seek damages from the label for distributing that artist's music.
Has Drake done other diss tracks about other artists before?
Yes, Drake is well known throughout his many, many years of not being shy when it comes to diss tracks. There have been so many artists in the firing line. Even some of these diss tracks about Kendrick have also criticized other artists, including The Weeknd. So it's not unusual for him as an artist to use that form of expression. Universal has also said not only are these claims untrue, but the notion that we would seek to harm the reputation of any artist, let alone Drake, is illogical. It noted the label has invested massively, to use its words, in Drake, helping him, quote, achieve historic commercial and personal financial success. We have not and do not engage in defamation against any individual, the statement concluded. Now, coincidentally, Drake is here in Australia right now.
He is.
If
Just
you-
thought he'd be on a different time zone to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's away from the chaos in the US and the interest in him there, but I'm sure local fans are waiting to see what he might have to say. He's doing a huge run of stadium shows over the next 4 weeks. So there will be plenty of local interest and local attention to see what he does next and if this escalates.
Look, it's a really interesting story. And again, you know, celebrities, that's not really our arena. But I think how this sort of story interacts with the legal system and the ramifications and the precedent that might be set, that is really what makes this so newsworthy. And, you know, everyone is talking about it. And I now better understand it. So thanks for explaining that, Em.
A pleasure. Thank you. And thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Daily Aus. If you learned something, feel free to share it with a friend. Don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you are listening to the podcast, or if you're watching us over on YouTube. We'll be back a little later on today with your evening headlines, but until then, have a good one.